seen the population of U.S. prisons increase with such rapidity that many people in Black, Latino, and Native American communities now have a far greater chance of going to prison than of getting a decent education.
Done, but I will recognize what happened here today, because obviously this is a great example of what people's power looks like. So when the state, when these people are so comfortable representing a state that sanctions terrorism against Black people, against a legacy, and doesn't recognize any of the natives in this land, so it's complicit with genocide, and when this state goes to takes a Black man for speaking up and speaking beyond, people have the power to say, no, this is not okay, and that's exactly what happened.
So I did come here to talk about a very important environmental issue, but one of my friends just informed me that besides the 4th Street exit being closed, the 3rd Street lane of 3rd Street outside of the entrance has now been blocked off by SPD and is being cordoned by cops. While you listen to us in here, you are lining up your guns outside the building to greet us as we come out. I'd like to know who ordered that.
I'm a parent, and I was actually at home taking care of my family when I heard the order to come down to arrest a Black man who was speaking over time. Which is absurd. And I want to point out that all these people have spoken, people are watching this at home, and this is like the beginning of something. And to talk to, and it's not really even the beginning, this started a long time ago with some of the same people here trying to present this at SU. Bye, Kathy.
Bye, Kathy. Bye, Kathy.
Bye, girlfriend.
And when you guys first did this, you got escorted out of the room in the meeting by SPD. This is an antagonism that you guys are bringing to the floor.
I just wanted to start out by saying, again, this is colonized land, and being that this is colonized land based on the genocide of Indigenous people, and as an Indigenous person of the continents, I find all your laws and yourself as an illegitimate colonial government, and you stand for that as such, and your entire prison institution is that. It's a colonial institution that still has remained to not only enslave Black bodies continuously, it is also built to kill not just Indigenous bodies, but also any bodies of color, including those of us who were forced to come here.
Jailing is transphobic and anti-queer. A lot of youth who wind up in duty are there because they're out of homes, they're in the foster care system. Oftentimes that's because of homophobia within families, within other communities, within police officers.
Jailing children is torture, and let's be clear, we're talking primarily about Black children.
They throw them in juvie. Basically what they do is they put them in this, have adults strip search them, look at their naked bodies, which should be incarcerated for according to these laws, except when it's there. They sit there, they run it through the system. I was in that system. I went to juvie, I went to prison. But I want to thank y'all for that. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be sitting here and see the true colors of America.
I have seen so many of my friends be forced into the juvenile justice system as I was growing up in Snohomish County, as well as seeing the remnants of what is happening to my friends who were forced into the King County Juvenile Corrections Facility. And I've seen your disdain for us.
We know children of color are disproportionately locked up in King County and across the country, and science and human intuition both tell us jailing human beings, especially young ones, does not produce the results or solve the problems used to justify incarceration.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to disobey your request to not say dirty words in your chamber. See, trichloroethylene is a dirty word. Tetrachloroethylene is a dirty word. These are both dry cleaning solvents. The contamination that they're talking about is coming from the groundwater to the north of the site. It has fully contaminated all the ground that you want to move, the over 130 cubic yards of ground that you will have to dispose of in a toxic waste facility. The ground that is put back will be recontaminated. These two chemicals cause over 8 different types of cancer, according to the EPA. They also cause developmental delays. They also cause nerve damage. They volatilize into the atmosphere and enter the building. Their vapor barrier is a Tyvek piece of plastic, and you have no plan for environmental testing in that building once it is built. You have no plan for maintenance of those systems, even if that building meets the codes. You are building a jail to give children cancer.
I know that you know what's right, and I don't think you should build a new youth prison, and because it doesn't help anybody, it's just creating more problems, and it creates a problem for you too.
Investing in our children is not building this jail. That's not investing in our children. And incarcerating children is inhumane and expensive and ineffective, and it only makes children better criminals.
One of the main arguments from the individuals that are standing behind the construction of this facility is that there will always be criminal youth. And that therefore, this facility and other ones like it will always be necessary. This assumption, though, the assumption that some children will always be criminal, is a falsity. It's a falsity perpetuated by the marginalization of communities, the co-opting of public space, and most importantly, the criminalization of children. And that criminalization of children is perpetuated by disproportionate policing of schools and communities of color.
Jail is also super ableist as a space. So students who are suspended out of school, students who are held back, students who are tracked out of classes in school, it's a really ableist sort of discriminatory process about who gets tracked out. And oftentimes those same kids wind up in juvie. That's terrible.
So, actually, I'm going to let Laura talk before I get mad. Larry, I just wanted to say, I feel like we looked up to you as a Black community, and you really kind of let us down.
There's this design build team. Part of it built the segregation units at the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma, which were used to crack down on immigrant organizing, migrant justice organizing within Tacoma. They call it their justice portfolio, but really it's this horrible space. They build cages, high-tech cages, to lock people up to prevent them from exercising freedom of speech, freedom of association, and trying to get things like basic food and family visits, things like that.
We spent hours talking to you, asking you, pleading with you, expressing what we felt like was a shared common ground. And it is a shared common ground that this youth jail should not be built, and it's perpetuating a system that is racist. However, you sit here and you continue to speak for Black people and say that this is okay. I'm here to let you know that you will not speak in my name and say that this is okay. This is not okay, and I'm very disappointed with you.
So I'm not even talking to you guys right now. Actually, I want to speak to the audience that's here because, quite frankly, I have to not speak to the council, and I have to speak to the people here and say that I'm actually very disappointed in your behavior today and how you treated the council. You've been way too fucking nice. And you have stayed mostly within your 2-minute limit, which, why do we only get 2 minutes to speak on the stuff that affects us? Yeah, I don't care about your 2-minute limit.
No matter what you call it, no matter how you dress it up, no matter what words you use to get it passed, building a new jail is not in the interest of justice. And you can call it whatever you want, but building a new jail is about punishment. It's about perpetuating a system of white supremacy, white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. And it's something, jails were not founded in the interest of justice. Jails were founded after slavery because the government needed a way for slavery and its effects to continue. And they couldn't do that anymore through the system of chattel slavery, and so they established jails and prisons. And that's exactly what we would continue perpetuating if we built this new jail.
There are businesses, white-dominated, white-owned businesses, contractors, architects, retailers, who hope to profit, who hope to make money off of the backs of the black and brown children in the jail and who would be in the new jail as well.
The true colors of U.S. politicians, the true colors of these fucking fascist pigs that stay around protecting you from the people that you say you represent, when all you do is represent the corporations that when they incarcerate brown and black youth, as well as poor white children or Irish children or Welsh children. Let's talk about the British still like fifths. They should have done that council right now. And you should there with like you have clear consciousness. You will be held accountable.
The current decrepit facility represents one of America's ugliest truths. Our wealth is built on continued oppression and a system of modern-day slavery.
It teaches them that society doesn't care about them, that we're throwing them away, that they're not worth anything, they're not worth our time and investment and goodwill.
It is time that we change that false assumption, and instead of taking for granted that there will always be criminal youth, we instead redirect funds and services in meaningful ways that can slow and eventually stop the deplorable, shameful, and largely racist criminalization of youth of color.
This is just a small example of what it looks like when we come together. That being said, we can not only stop this jail, we will stop this jail, but we need to start looking at ideas like economic democracy. I'm just going to throw that out there because at the bottom of a lot of this bullshit is the economics. It's political, it's political and economic disenfranchisement, but it's obviously economics. What does it look like not to have a political democracy but an economic democracy when we claim resources and we have control over our locales and our regions? Thank you.
There are lots of other alternatives. There's restorative justice that is much more effective and builds communities and is a lot less expensive. And that's going on successfully around the country. Oakland is doing it, and Baltimore is doing it, and King County can do it also. And we can do that for the rest of the nation. We can set a good example. We can save money. We can show our children that we care about them, and we can do the right thing.
It also represents a crossroads. You can stay on the wrong side of history, and we will continue to fight you, or you can use this opportunity to put King County on a path to real justice and community building.
In over 72 years, there hasn't been such a low turnout in votes. There's massive dissension right now. So you have a choice to decide what's going to happen. Are you going to, you can go gracefully and work with the people, and this is an obvious opportunity to do so. Or you can continue to resist, and as you see, the people are not going away. The people are actually only getting stronger, starting to realize what it looks like when you have people power.
And Larry Gossi, you know specifically where this goes. You know about the occupation at the UW. And you know, I don't know about everyone else, about the local history of resistance in this town, which includes the Black Panther Party, the George Jackson Brigade. And these people stop people from getting arrested, and not only that, they used arms to do it, and not only that, they infiltrated these institutions that contain people, their comrades, black people, and attempted to break them out. So, just to highlight this again, this is nothing for what's to come if you keep acting like you are.
So I'm here to talk to the people and to chastise you for how you have treated the council today. The way you have treated the council today, you have not pushed them far enough, or clearly we would not be here right now. You have followed their rules too much. You have stayed with them there 2 minutes. And worst of all, you have assumed in your comments that anybody on this council has moral conscience. Stop
The question of whether the prison has become an absolute institution, has become obsolete institution, has become especially urgent in the light of the fact that more than 2 million, I think we're well above that now, 2 million people out of a world total of 9 million now inhabit U.S. prisons, jails, youth facilities, and immigrant detention centers.